It's another day and another US ambassador has managed to outrage their host nation. Yesterday we told you about Mexico, how the Mexican government has paused ties with the US embassy. Today it's Honduras. Honduras is a nation in Central America. It is home to about 10 million people and their government is furious with the US, so much so that they're scrapping a treaty, a more than 100-year-old treaty.
President Xiomara Castro has instructed us in a timely manner to proceed to terminate the extradition treaty between Honduras and the United States that was concluded in January 1912.
Honduras has announced that it will end an extradition treaty with the US. The treaty was signed in 1912. It has lasted for 112 years, but now Honduras wants out, thanks to a diplomatic faux pas by the US ambassador there. Her name is Laura Dogu. She recently commented on a meeting between the Honduran defense minister and his Venezuelan counterpart, the defense ministers of Honduras and Venezuela. Now, some of you may know that the US does not like Venezuela, and that is putting it mildly. Washington loathes Nicolas Maduro, the recently re-elected Venezuelan president. Honduras, however, shares good ties with Maduro and has no objection to meeting members of his government. So the US ambassador's actions were met with outrage. Ambassador Dogu said that she was surprised that Honduran officials met with drug traffickers. Now, some context here. The US indicted Venezuela's defense minister on drug trafficking charges in 2020. As far as Washington is concerned, Venezuela helps drugs flow into the US. But for the ambassador to say what she said, Honduras took it as an insult.
We have cooperated with the United States in all aspects of the fight against drug trafficking. But we consider these allusions that these government officials, who work in defense and hand with U.S. authorities, can imply that they are involved in drug trafficking, and this is unacceptable.
This insult has led to them cancelling a century-old treaty. It was perhaps the last straw. Look at the Honduran president's statement. In fact, let me read out the translation. The interference and interventionism of the United States, as well as its intention to direct the politics of Honduras through its embassy and other representatives, is intolerable. They attack, ignore, and violate with impunity the principles and practices of international law, which promote respect for the sovereignty and self-determination of peoples, non-intervention, and universal peace. Enough. So Honduras is not ending the treaty because of the comment, but because the US keeps meddling in their internal affairs via the ambassador. It was the same case in Mexico. The US ambassador decided to comment on Mexico's judicial reform. This outraged the country's president. So Mexico has paused ties with the US embassy. And this is not some new phenomenon, really. American ambassadors have a history of riling up their host nations. Look at these reports from down the years. Venezuela, 2006. Syria, 2011. Ecuador, also 2011. Albania, 2021. Every single time, the US ambassador has been accused of working against the country's government, of interfering in domestic issues, sometimes supporting rebels outright, and all of it is absurd. And India is no stranger to this American outreach either. Recently, Indian Prime Minister Narendra Modi met with Russian President Vladimir Putin. The two shared a hug and they discussed peace in Ukraine. But the US ambassador in India decided to react to this. And he reacted with a threat. He told New Delhi to not take the US-India relationship for granted. This is how American ambassadors treat allies like India. It's an unparalleled level of entitlement, making public comments about sensitive issues, whether it's high-level diplomatic meetings or a country's internal issues. American ambassadors feel an intolerable urge, perhaps, to make public comments. But that is not how diplomacy works. You can have your reservations, even share them with the relevant authorities, but why must you publicly comment on everything that tickles your fancy? Do they not teach discretion at the American State Department? This lack of tact is finally leading to some consequences in Mexico and now Honduras. But the whole world perhaps needs to start pushing back, or the US won't ever stop interfering via their ambassadors.
Across continents, one powerful news source.
bringing you diverse perspectives on the issues that matter.
We go beyond the boundaries to give you that little extra about every sporting moment.
So thank you for making Firstpost 5 million strong. We're counting on your support, and you can trust us to bring you the news unfiltered and unvarnished. On the show today, the T20 World Cup bandwagon has moved across to the West Indies. What can you expect?
Hello, I'm Alison Green, coming to you from Durban, South Africa. Today we have a special show.
Start with a report on India's shifting nuclear posture. The first time since India officially became a nuclear power.
Hello and welcome to Firstpost America. I'm Eric Ham, coming to you live from the nation's capital, Washington, D.C.